Hello.
We are Loops and Lapbars,
And
we are at Phantasialand
Phantasialand.
for our second day of the holiday. We are here for 2 days, and as you can see, or probably see, we're in the Africa section of the park, having done a bit of a morning's work. We started off this morning, we arrived around about 8:30 because the park opens at 9 o'clock. And that means that you can get into the park and you can get to your attractions and things like that ahead of time. Some of the rides are staggered though, so as we found out, Berlin, some of the areas in the rides in the Berlin area open early, Mouse au Chocolat being one of them.
Yeah.
So naturally, because we love it, we started there.
We did.
And yeah, it's just as insane as I remember it.
Yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. And it's one of the rides that makes Phantasialand, and everyone can do it regardless. And even if you don't want to sit there and shoot, it's still a nice ride to sit on and watch the 3D stuff. Yeah, so,
it does have 3Ds, as we just alluded to there. You wear glasses and such. So if you're a bit motion sick with 3D stuff, it might not be for you. However, it's great fun. Interactive, so you shoot, score points and things like that. So there's a little bit of competition, but yeah, really, really good fun. Then from there we went and had a bit of a look around the shop, which we'll go into a bit later on. And that led us very nicely into Wuze Town.
Wuze Town, and the fantasy area.
Yeah, where we had to go on Winter's Fear and Force.
And Crazy Bats as well.
Oh yeah, Crazy Bats.
Yeah,
I forgot to do Crazy Bats. So we'll talk about Crazy Bats first, because even though I've just forgotten about it, I am arguing that it's probably one of the best family coasters out there. Because of the VR. I think if they didn't have the VR, it would be no sort better than Walking Dead.
I disagree with that, mainly because I get halfway round and the VR just throws my head through a ringer. So I ended up doing most of the ride without the VR on, and it's still a very, very good, lengthy coaster.
There's like 3 lift hills, isn't there? So.
Yeah, there's 3 lift hills in it. It's all indoors, and one of the unique things about it, if you're going to come here and do it without the VR, because watching people go round on a roller coaster not screaming is one of the most weirdest sensations in the world.
Very surreal.
But you've got to do it. It's very, very surreal. But it's incredibly ooh. It just adds an extra element to it.
That is if you don't obviously do it with the VR on, because like I say, the VR matches pretty much in sync with the roller coaster. And one of the things I mentioned, having gotten off it, I kind of wish at times it was actually a rougher ride, because there's certain points where because you're riding an ice sculpture around a castle, and these bats are trying to stop the ice and break it and things like that, and it lands on certain things, and the roller coaster doesn't react, because obviously it's a roller coaster, it's supposed to be smooth, but I kind of feel like it should sort of bounce, but other than that, there's nothing I could complain about with Crazy Bats.
No.
Same with the Winges twins. I remember queuing for them and thinking, I prefer Dragon's Fury and Spinball to these two, but now I've got off them again.
Yeah.
I kind of prefer those two because they are so unique in what they do.
Yeah, and it's a shame really that essentially Spinball and Dragon's Fury don't have a couple of the elements that they've got. Sort of like hidden drops. There's a bouncy section, a track. You go down one section backwards on Force, I think it is, which is all interesting. And Dragon's Fury, Spinball, Wuze, if they're looking for an update, that's probably an element they could easily put in.
Yeah, I don't think they will at this point, but the Winges twins are, when you compared them to Dragon's Fury and Spinball Wuze, completely unique. Aside from those, especially Naga Bay as well. Naga Bay is another one that I would put them in the camp of Naga Bay, Spinball Wuze, Dragon's Fury, and the Winges twins completely, sort of separate. But that's those two. And then we went into Rookburgh and had some sandwiches. Yep,
we did.
This is something that we wanted to do last year, but didn't really sort of feel it. We saw the menu and thought, that's not really tickles me pickle on there. So we plunged this year and had a go. What would you say? It's called the coal. I think it translates to the coal shipper.
Coal shipper.
Yeah, it literally spells coal shipper in English, and I've translated it. It's something like to the coal shipper is what it refers to. But anyway, coal shipper. And what did I have? I had a chicken sandwich, and you had
chicken and crest, or chicken and
chicken sandwich, and you had an
egg and cheese.
Yeah, and I wasn't expecting what I got. I was expecting pretty much a meal deal kind of sandwich, only tarted up. A big bit of bread, some salad in, and then a bit of chicken in the middle. No, nothing like that. It's even better. Yeah. It was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, like a lot of the food here, a lot of it, even though it is essentially fast food, it's all freshly done in front of you. And it's absolutely wonderful sitting there watching them make a sandwich and then realising, hang on, that's my bit of egg that's going on a griddle with an onion and loads of cheese.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
it was lovely.
The egg was poured onto a griddle, cooked, cheese was poured onto it, then they folded it, put it on the sandwich. Like I said, I was expecting cold sandwiches, and we'll definitely be eating there again.
Yeah.
It was a bit pricey, but I feel like you're paying for quality, so I don't mind. So was it €13? I think for mine.
Yeah, and that was for a sandwich and a drink.
Yeah.
So
that roughly equates to somewhere around the £11.50 mark, I think.
Yeah.
With translations and such. And then we're in Rookburgh. There's only one thing else to do in Rookburgh, and that's have a go on F.L.Y. So F.L.Y this time around,
we did the full queue line, which to me it feels like they've built the queue line and then put the ride around it.
Yeah, it feels like we went to Berlin and back. I've been told that the full queue line does take you around the entire area, and it does. And I quite like it, actually. I wouldn't want to queue for the full length of the queue line because that would be ridiculous. However, going through and seeing some of the elements and the unique views of F.L.Y and Rookburgh from the queue, it's definitely worth doing that at least once. If you can get, like, we got a 20-minute queue, and it probably was a bit longer than that because I think they timed the queue up to the point where you separate to do the baggage checks. But yeah, I think a half an hour, 35 minutes or so, something along those lines. Get in there and see the queue line. You'll see unique views of F.L.Y. As for the coaster itself,
as for the coaster itself, it's one of them. It's a bit hit and miss. I like F.L.Y. I'd like to like it more, but the restraints they're not good. And if it was me personally, I'd either leave people's legs dangling or have them a bit more like the Galactica ones, which, to be fair, we did say this last year.
Yeah.
And
I set them remarks while we're in the station, see if you can move your legs so that you're balanced on your knees a little bit more.
Which I did. I did move my legs a bit more this year, but even so,
as soon as you move into as soon as you assume the position, it rests on your shins. Now, I didn't find it was that bad this year, but I think it would be better if it was Galactica style restraints and the trains were completely vertical as opposed to being 65 degrees or something like that, because you're constantly looking forward anyway, and it doesn't make it any more comfortable than what it does on Galactica, in my opinion. However, that is literally the only negative about F.L.Y. I thought this time round it was so much more forceful.
It was a lot more forceful this time round. I come off feeling quite sick from it, to be fair.
We were row 2, weren't we? And the second launch that takes you up a hill, you get airtime. It belted me out of the seat there.
I got airtime
it
as
was
well.
Great fun. But yeah, there's not much to complain about apart from the restraints because it rides incredibly well. It's so smooth.
So smooth. Rookburgh is well themed and it's a lovely area.
Yeah, it really does sell the illusion that you're boarding the air rail service to wherever it's going to. I really do love it. I just wish that the restraints were so much better. If they were, I don't know, if they were perfect in whatever restraints they could possibly be, that coaster could very well challenge ride to happiness and things like that for me. But because of its restraints, it does knock it down so badly. But it's for Coma once again making a roller coaster and knocking at the restraints. So I think next we're in Africa. It's probably going to be something like Black Mamba or the Trail. Or Talocan or Mystery Castle. We don't quite know yet. That's the good thing about Phantasialand. Everything's not a million miles away, so if we wanted to go and do Mystery Castle, then come back over here, it's not like Alton Towers.
Exactly, you're not going to plan your day around how big the park is.
Yeah, so we'll carry on wandering around and see what we get up to.
Yep.
There's just no rushing some people, eh? Deep into Africa thing is great for views of Black Mamba. Track's right there, and I'm just waiting for it to go by because you can't actually see, but you're literally inches away from the track just below there. It's really, really good fun, isn't it? For €15.50, you can get yourself Coke, some nachos, and a bloody good burrito.
For a bit more, you can have a beef one. Beefy. Hello. And
Here we are in
the car.
Yeah, after we left you last, we were in Africa, and we said that we were probably going to do Black Mamba and Taron and things like that, and we did Black Mamba and Taron and things like that.
Yeah.
Starting off with Colorado Adventure, which I'm going to put language one in here.
Yeah.
It's awesome. We did front row this time round, having done back row mid-train last time round, and it's just savage on the front, isn't it?
It is. It's fun savage. It's not. You're not gonna sit there and go and get off and be like, right, I'm not gonna go back on that. But if you are on the skinnier side, you're gonna get knocked about a bit.
Yeah. It feels like the trains could do with slightly taller seats, because the seats finish up halfway up your back. So as you're jolting around and things like that, because it's a runaway mine train. It can make you almost bend in half. Sort of thing,
but it's an absolutely fun ride. And there was a kid in the seat behind us. She was absolutely laughing from start to finish.
Loving the whole thing.
And you can't help but laugh from start to finish at times on that ride.
Yeah, it's bonkers, but it fits in perfectly with Phantasialand. It's their take on a family ride. It is a family ride, but it's not like, oh yeah, it's it boots you up the arse sort of
it
thing.
does.
So, I think that is the sort of gold standard on how you do a mine train. We said that last time, and it sticks this time around, even if it was a bit painful.
Yeah.
From there we went on to
Geisterleikscha.
Yeah, Geisterleikscha, which we did before, and we said it was crap, and we've done it again, and it's crap.
It's good for a 5-minute sit down. It's a little omnimover, and genuinely it just goes through a few of what I can tell are
Chinese
mythology and horror stories. There's no English, there's no translation, there's no nothing.
There's no German, there's nothing in it.
It's a case of work it out for yourself. But if you want a 5-minute sit down, then yeah, fair enough, go for it.
Yeah, it's worth visiting once, but with no queue. Do not queue for that.
Yeah.
Because I think it probably could do with a good sort of thing. The Chinese area, in fairness, apart from the food and the way it looks, the rides in there are a bit sort of lacking.
Yeah.
What's not lacking, however, is Taron. While we stood in queue for Taron, I always compare Taron and the Smiler myself, because they are very similar rides in my mind. They're incredibly knotty, sort of together rides, and they are border on my list of which one's my favourite. Taron is slightly behind Smiler, but it challenges it at the moment because it is just running so well. It's not like it ran badly the last time we were here.
No.
But
there was one jerky transition we had, which we found out, and then we were fine on the second run through last time we did it. This time round, they seem to have smoothed that out. And
I said it's smoothed out as though they've done anything different.
Well,
it's just running differently. And it just darts from left to right as it did before. in excellent fashion. It's running on top form, and
it was running well today and pulling some right G's, and you were just there like, oh my word, I'm left, I'm right, oh, okay.
Yeah, much like F.L.Y earlier on in the day. Taron was seriously hoofing it, and you're going some of those corners thinking, wow. And the transitions from your immediate banking sort of to the left, and then boom to the right again. Yeah, it's sharp and snappy, and the launches really still didn't disappoint. They were phenomenal, were they?
Exactly. Yeah.
Then from Taron we went on to Mystery Castle.
Yeah.
And this is the one of two. I found out since reading it last time. It's one of two ballistic towers, which I think is the absolute perfect description of what it's like in there. It just goes ballistic. Unfortunately, it was only running 2 of the 6 ride vehicles, which meant that queues were a bit longer than we've queued for in the past. But I still think it was worth the 15 minutes that we queued for. Because
it's fun, and because it's in the dark. If you've never done a drop tower, or you want to go do a drop tower, maybe come here and do Phantasialand. Do theirs first, because it's in the dark. You don't have that sense of height, and it's wonderful for that.
You can obviously look down and you can see, oh my god, I'm really high up, sort of thing. But it's well themed, it's well executed, and like I say, it's almost like it's trying to rip your head off. It's great. Earlier on in the day, though, got a bit of a head ourselves. Completely forgot to talk about Black Mamba. And Black Mamba is another one of those rides. Much like Taron is sort of challenging the Smiler in my eyes, Black Mamba is up there against Nemesis, Nemesis Reborn, because it rides better than Reborn does. There's no head knocking, just like Reborn. But very similar to Nemesis, it's pretty much all terrain based. You can see the lifter, you can see odd parts that stick out here and there, but other than that, it's all sort of hidden away, and it's so low to the ground all the time. But phenomenal ride.
Yeah, it was doing really, really well today, and I really love the fact that the loop goes over a bridge, which I think is a phenomenal idea, because you're never more than 2 meters from that coaster in that section, and it's brilliant.
And as I alluded to, I may have alluded to earlier on, when you're in the deep into Africa section, you get some great views of Black Mamba, and there'll be points where you stood almost literally on top of the track, which is great. Black Mamba's wonderful, Taron's wonderful. Everything we've done today has been wonderful. So that's Phantasialand for the moment. We'll talk about merch, but we're going to I'll do a bit more on that tomorrow, because we're here for a second day. So for the moment, that's the end of our first day at Phantasialand.
It is.
So this is our second day, and I suppose actually I'm going to go a bit off script. Oh, there is a script, and talk about how you get into the park. So €7 is how much you pay for parking. There are multiple car parks around the place. I'll put a screenshot of a map up here, because we went into one car park yesterday and a different one today. And they're both pretty much exactly the same. It's just accessing one is much easier than accessing the other, and also depends on what gates they've got open. They always seem to have the mystery gate open, which is where mystery parking is. They don't always seem to have the China parking gate open, which is obviously where the China area and China parking is. So that's that. But once we got into the park, that's at 9 o'clock. The gates open. We then sort of not rushed, but we headed down to the lockers. Because we've been on water rides and such, we brought sort of a spare bag, and obviously we're not going to cart that around with us, so we've used a locker. So this is the first time for doing something like this, and Tracy's going to run through sort of how it works. So here you go. So you get these sort of what are they like?
They are RFID bands.
RFID bands. You can put it on your wrist. We've not done that because it says not to bend it, so we didn't want to bend it. That's it. You pay €5, and literally as simple as that. You just come out, grab your stuff out of the locker. Once you've grabbed your stuff out of the locker, just close the door. There we go. You close the door. You scan your code again, and off you go. Quite simple, really. Once we'd done the lockers, we then we had to go on the carousel. Which
it's been 3 visits before we finally got on it, so I made the point of that today. We're getting on the carousel.
3 visits to the carousel, and It's a lovely carousel, but it's just a carousel. It's nice that it's double decked, you know, and
it's double decked. Slightly more unique in the fact the horses upstairs do move in tandem with the ones downstairs, which a lot of them don't tend to.
I've not seen that, but yeah.
But it's one of them. Once you get on, be very, very quick to pick your horse because the ride will go without you being on a horse.
Yeah, which was quite funny. After that, we went on Mouse au Chocolat again.
Yep.
Not really much to add from earlier in the video. Mouse au Chocolat is just wonderful. I did find that this morning one of the guns wasn't working quite so well, but rather than just going hell for leather, I just slowed down a little bit and it was working just fine. I still managed to beat Tracy anyway with a crap gun. And then from there we went back to the locker, picked up our wet gear stuff, and then went on to River Quest.
Yes.
And River Quest is I don't know if this is the best rapid ride in the world, but it's the best rapid ride that
Definitely
we've ever
in
done.
Europe,
We've ever done. It's bonkers. It fits every. Phantasialand either do something magical or bonkers. There's kind of nowhere in between the two, and River Quest fits that exactly. It's got a great drop. It's got a great sort of whirlpool section.
Yeah, it's got a very unique lift hill for a river ride as well, and yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. There's not much to add about River Quest without giving too much away, but come and do it.
Yeah.
And whilst you've done River Quest and you've got wet on there, then follow that up with a ride on Chiapas.
Yeah, Chiapas. If River Quest is the best rapid ride in the world, then Chiapas is the best log flume, and that probably is without doubt the best log flume in the world. Maybe this launched one that's just opened might be better, but you can't beat that. It's 3 lift hills.
3 lift hills. Yeah.
It goes through an archaeological dig of an ancient Mexico site sort of thing, and then there's a rave.
Yeah, there's a rave. All the Mayan little gods are getting it on and having a bit of a rave. And it intersects beautifully with Colorado Adventure. And also Black Mamba. You can see Black Mamba from it as well.
Yeah,
and it's just nice for the intersection it does. And literally, you can wave to everybody in the path, on other rides as you go around. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's one of those.
It's got a lap bar.
Yeah, it's one of those that's really good to have a sort of a wander around while the ride's in operation to see different parts of the ride from off-ride, because the paths interweave with the ride, which interweaves with Colorado Adventure. Yeah, it's just absolutely mental how they managed to get in. And it's 10 years old this year. It was the 1st of April, 2014 that it opened. So it's 10 years this year. So happy birthday, Chiapas. And that's really it on the Chiapas and the water ride. You do get soaked on both of those, and I forgot to mention as well that Chiapas has got the steepest drop of any log flume in the world.
Hence why you've got a lap bar, and it does take a couple of goes round to get into the boat and get your legs properly seated to push that lap bar down. You still
the first time I rode it, I sort of squatted because I got my bag with me, and it meant that I was sort of sitting squatted with this lap bar pushing down my legs, and it was uncomfortable. Still enjoyed the ride, but it was uncomfortable. This time around, ride it exactly the same as you would ride a regular log flume. Sit down, legs underneath the person in front, lap bar down, comfortable as anything. Absolutely wonderful ride.
But Chiapas and River Quest are both two of the rides here at Phantasialand you have to take your bags on. So bear that in mind. If you don't want anything getting wet, then by all means leave someone off the ride if they don't want to ride, or come and get a locker. So much better without
and we found
worrying about stuff.
There's lockers in 3 locations. The map says there's only 2, but we found them in 3. There's right by the front of Berlin. There's some under Colorado Adventure, and then there's some in the mystery area. We've not seen the ones in the mystery area yet, but there's definitely ones in Colorado by Colorado Adventure and Berlin. So that's your lockers and your water rides. So once we're done with Chiapas, we're getting a bit sort of on the hungry side, and I'll preface it by saying that no matter what you put in your mouth in this park, it's tasty. So we had the focaccias because they're right by the exit of Chiapas. After we got changes and whatnot. I ended up having a vegan one, not because I'm vegan or anything like that. I just really like the ingredients they were on. It was aubergine and all sorts. Little sprinkle of Tabasco, set it on fire. It was lovely. You had a tuna one.
I did. I had tuna and onion, and I had the focaccia last time we were here, and this year I went for a different flavour. Absolutely gorgeous. For €8.50, you do get quite a slab of the stuff. I'm going to say for the little more snacky things, you are looking at around about $6.50, $7.50, $8.50, depending on what you go for, which might seem a bit pricey for some people, but it's well worth it. It's all, the vast majority of it is done fresh in front of you, and you cannot fault it on taste or quality. Value for money and quality.
Yeah, it might be more on the expensive side, but you are paying for something that's proper food. It's not Aramark crap, for one thing. So like I say, we can't fault that. Once we'd done that, we then had a wander deep into Africa, just because I really like this as a walkthrough. All it is just a walkthrough attraction. I've already talked about it before, but it gives some nice interactions with Black Mamba. And though today it wasn't all operational because they were pressure washing it while we were walking through, it's still really good fun to get in there and have a good old explore. One of those that's best done without a bag, or at least with a smaller bag, especially if you want to experience the whole thing, because it's like a climbing frame.
Yeah, it's a big, essentially indoor-outdoor adventure climbing frame, and if adults go in, they expect you to stay in and go all the way as well.
Yeah.
And you've got different sections depending on whether you want to be a monkey, lemur, or whether you want to really difficult stuff and be a snake. Kind of thing. It's got different levels of difficulty. Some things are better suited for adults than others. We found out to our detriment last year, do not go up the stairs, go up the actual staircase for the end bit.
They have think like a crate, but there's staggered bits of wood, if you're completely without a bag or anything like that, then yes, you'll just about manage it. But we felt like miners, because it's like, here's your bag, and then and up you go, and then I'll take your bag. So it was a bit awkward in that regard. However, it's still really good fun.
It is really good fun.
Once we'd had a go on that,
then Dave decided he was going on Talocan.
I can't not go on Talocan. I saw that the flames were running yesterday, and I didn't do it yesterday, but I went on it today. Got the front row so everyone can see the expressions and stuff like that. It knocks you for six. First time round, I kept my eyes closed because I was just really enjoying it. This time round, I thought, no, I'm going to try and keep my eyes open, sort of thing, and still enjoy it. And it really disorientates you. But then you get a little bit of a respite as it's sort of it's tilting and rotating and stuff like that, and then it gives you the helpful of the spin cycle again. And it does make me very excited for the prospect of having Ripsaw's Revenge or something like that at Alton Towers. But I love these stop spins. They're so good. After that, though, to cool down, we went into the
Rock on Ice
show, which is something I've never done before.
This is the show is a first for us. This is our fourth visit here, and I've been wanting to do a show now for a while. The last 3 times we've missed them, genuinely. So this time round, made it a point that we are going to go do a show. So we did the Rock on Ice show, and by God, it was a show. Like you get a level of expectations for shows in theme parks, and Phantasialand have blown that out the water. And I'm now kind of excited to do the other 2 shows on repeat visits when we eventually get back here. It's
absolutely
phenomenal.
Essentially, what it is choreographed ice skating segments to what your commonplace sort of rock themes. So what did that? Michael Jackson in there, some of the Scorpions, Meatloaf, etc.
It was absolutely brilliantly well done.
And so, some of the things I was thinking was, it amazed me that it almost felt like that they were walking on regular ground. They were that talented with their ice skates, because I've never seen anything, in terms of like show ice skating, if you will. They made it look so unbelievably natural that you didn't really think they were ice skating because they were just doing it so well. Definitely recommend doing that.
It's a nice sort of half an hour sit down as well. Like, the show was good sort of 30 minutes, but you didn't. It was over that quick. You didn't realise you were in there 30 minutes. It was brilliant.
We can recommend the Rock on Ice, and I would imagine that Nubis and the stunt show that they have as well. Was it Battle of the Ages or something like that?
Battle of the Ages. I think it was, or Battle of the Beast.
Battle of the Ages. But we can definitely recommend those. So that's those bits. After we'd finished, hang on. After the ice show, we went around, did a bit of camera work and photography and stuff like that. Then went back on Colorado Adventure. Now, earlier on in the video, I did call it some naughty words, and it's still some naughty words, but it is naughty words in a good way. We sat mid-train this time, throws you about. It does try and book you off. It's like a fucking Bronco in train form, and I think I've said it every time I've talked about it. It is the gold standard on mine trains. That's how you make a runaway mine train feel like a runaway mine train. As we said earlier on when we were talking about Chiapas, it interacts nicely with Chiapas. It interacts lovely with itself. It's just got a sense of urgency about it, and it's just great. I don't think there's anything more that I can add to it. It's won awards because it's that good.
Yeah, it's an insane little ride, and you want your kids' first introduction to sort of a proper mine train or a coaster that's a bit more grr at its heart, then the mine train here, Colorado Adventure, is the way to go. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. But I love it. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
And it's Colorado Adventure, and much like Rake that we're going to talk about in a second, every time that Phantasialand puts their hand to something, it's almost like they set the bar. If you're a gamer out there, you'll remember back in the 90s where Rare were the gold standard of video games. They could put their hand to any video game and make it work. Phantasialand seems to be doing the same with attractions. Yeah. They've done it with Colorado Adventure. They've done it with Rake, because Rake is a wonderful family boomerang. Longest and fastest family boomerang in the world at the time that it opened. It's like 36 miles an hour or something like that, which is quintessentially Phantasialand. Let's just make it, bonkers. Yeah. Then there's Taron. There's another attraction that we'll talk about as well, coming up. But we went on Taron as well. Yeah. And Taron is just, the more I ride it, the more I love it. It's just getting better and better. Having a little bit of a rocky start, because I think my expectations were too high when I first rode it last year. But it's just getting more and more. And I now honestly think, in terms of my rankings, which I think it's something like 6th or 5th. Anyway, it's just behind the Smiler, and I think now I'm going to swap those two around, and it is now better than the Smiler. It's just so good. It's great to watch off-ride. It's great to ride. It's in a great themed area. It makes some phenomenal noise. So there's nothing to complain about.
There's not.
There is something to complain about. There's no photo on it.
Yeah, that's the only sort of issue. Is the bigger rides, essentially like Rake, Taron, and a couple of others, do not have photos on them, which is a really, really big shame. And Phantasialand, if you're listening, that's one thing that you probably could actually get away with doing. Put the photos on the bigger rides, because people want them. Yeah,
we'll talk about that a bit towards the end, but
Taron for me is one of my favourite roller coasters. I said it last year when we were here. It proves that you do not need a gazillion inversions, hang time, or anything like that to have a good roller coaster and to make it fun and thrilling.
Tau Tatis says otherwise. But once we'd done that, because we're in the Klugheim area, we went to, and I can't remember how you pronounce it, but was it Flammenbaken?
I think so.
It's the area that sells essentially pizzas that are not
pizzas.
Flatbread pizzas, and by God, they are delicious. Yeah. I had olive onions and sour cream goat's cheese, and it was incredibly tasty, but it was fun to eat. I know it sounds really stupid, but it got the right perfect crunch. It was just so good to eat, was that.
So Dave had olives. I had the vegetarian one, because that's what I was feeling. So essentially I had tomatoes on it, rocket, and potatoes.
Which was a bit
ironically, which was a bit weird. But do you know what? Absolutely worked. And because they're thin, they're really quite good as a fill-in snack. But you can also have them as a light tea, and they're only, I think they're €8 each we paid roughly.
Yeah. Absolutely wonderful with those, so we can highly recommend those.
Once again, all done fresh in front of you. We were waiting 5 minutes, I think.
Pretty much exactly the same as the sandwiches I talked about earlier. Exactly the same with these. You just get exactly what you'd expect, and more so.
And more so.
And speaking of getting exactly what you expect and more so, we've got Das Verrückt Hotel Tartuffe, or the Crazy Hotel Tartuffe, which is
basically it's their fun house,
and it's built in-house by Phantasialand.
It is, and it's brilliant. Like, we've done some fun houses at fairgrounds, we've done some at Toverland and a couple of other parks, And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my fun houses, and this was another ride that we'd neglected for 3 visits, and I'm finally glad we've got on it. And it's absolutely wonderfully insane. It's everything you would expect from a fun house. You've got floors that move different ways, you've got
spinning sections, you've got things that disorientate. You've got a point where you walk through, it's not really a spoiler as such, but you walk through and there's a rotating sort of cabinet at the end with pots and pans on it, and then on your way back out of the room you start walking on
essentially plates and
breaking
the
them.
plates. And they've got sections, like Dave said, to disorientate you. There's a couple of bits with springy floors that are covered with carpet, so you don't notice they're there. You step onto them like, whoa.
That's the thing, because
quite
with a normal fun house you can kind of see what elements are coming up, but with this one, because they've disguised it all, you're not looking for them. It's like, look, there's a mirror there, and then all of a sudden you've fallen over or something like that. It's got a great slide at the end as well, you have to take your shoes off for.
Really nice slide at the end. But the attention to detail all the way through is you go in, and essentially you go in a lift is the idea. The lift is broken, and ergo you then get out. And it is all done over 3 floors, but every room you go into, something's out of place. Like when you go into the bathroom, the toilet's on the ceiling spouting bubbles at you. In the next room, there's a bedroom on the ceiling. And like you've got plates on the walls and stuff.
I'm going to say it's not just things on the ceiling. The entire room could be 90 degrees and everything's on the wall
at 90 degrees.
It's just bonkers. So.
Upside down pictures, carpets where they shouldn't be. It's beautifully done.
Yeah.
And obviously with a fun house, you've got the option to do the fun bit or essentially the safe path if you want to. So it's perfectly capable that adults of all ages can go in there with the kids and not do them, or do them if they want to. And unlike fairground ones where they can go hell for leather on the slidey floor bits especially, these aren't. They're set at a nice sort of safe level for everyone of every age to do, which is what I really, really like about it.
It's like I say, it's probably the most quintessential of Phantasialand in that it's bonkers, but it's also magical at the same sort of time. You've got the whimsical fairground and everything else that's in the Berlin area, and then you've got bonkers like Colorado Adventure. That is like a combination of everything put together. So I don't think there's anything more to talk about in terms of the rides and attractions that we've done today, because this is the end of our second day. That's why we're sat here and we've gone through everything. But next bit we're going to do is just a bit of a wrap up, and now we've done 4 days at Phantasialand, any sort of tips that we've got, as well as what we feel like that the park could do to improve. Soft. So this is, like I say, a bit of a wrap up. So it's just like a kind of also a recap. So tips for Phantasialand would be, it usually opens at 9 o'clock. Arrive around 8:30, get into queue, get into the park, get over to Berlin. It doesn't matter if you're over the mystery area or wherever you are. Coming on over to the Berlin area. Get these rides done first, because these open at between 9 and 8:30. So you've got the carousel opens at 9, and everything else that goes along opens at 8:30.
Yeah, it does.
So you can get those done. Water rides. If you're going on the water rides, there's 2 of them. Obviously Chiapas and River Quest. Get on those 2.
Do them both together.
Yeah.
Because it's better for you to get soaked on both of them, then potentially use your lock-up, come get changed, like we've done.
Yep. And do it in that order. Do River Quest, then Chiapas. Because if you're wet on River Quest, get onto Chiapas wet, come off wet. If you're getting a photo or something like that, you don't really want to be taking that onto River Quest and getting it soaked. You can if you want to come back to your locker, but just saving time sort of thing.
River Quest out of the 2 tends to have the quicker queue, because with it being a raft ride, they can get 8 to 9 people in the raft, so it tends to be the slightly quicker one first thing in the morning.
But even then, the Chiapas are still pretty quick queue. We didn't queue really for either of them this morning. So that's those. All the food, excellent. Like I say, don't matter where you go, you're going to get something nice. You've got all sorts to pick from. You've got crepes and waffles. You've got healthier sections.
Yogurt.
Frozen yogurt, ice creams. You've got healthier sections like pots of fruit, and they'll put unhealthy things on them for you to get the nice balance. You've got loads of restaurants to pick from. We've not ate in any of the restaurants, but there is a restaurant in Cloakheim that sells a lot of sort of meat-based and sort of medieval kind of foods. Chinese
area. There's one in the Berlin section as well.
And then there's Eurowork as well, which is in Rookburgh as well. They're on the pricey side. You're going to be talking somewhere between 20 and 25 euros per portion. But obviously you're getting a sit-down meal, and it's got sort of better quality. You cannot go wrong with any ride you get in queue for, even the ones that we say are a bit on the crapper side, like Geistreiter, and what was the Palace one?
Feng Shui Palace.
Feng Shui Palace. They're not the best in terms of their type of ride, but they're still worth visiting. At least once. Merchandise is good, but we'll allude to that in a moment. There's not really anything else that we can sort of add on. It's your standard sort of theme park, obviously more so. It's not massively wide open or anything like that, so you don't have to keep walking miles to get to things. Quite wheelchair accessible, which is very handy. There are a lot of stairs in some places, but there's always a route that you can get with a wheelchair. A lot of the queue lines though, you will find that you're going down and up. So certain things like Black Mamba, you're probably going to have issues with if you've got your accessibility issues, and I suppose the same can be said for Taron too. But that's the. So, how could Phantasialand possibly improve?
Pin badges.
Merchandise in general. So it's not that merchandise is crap by any stretch of the imagination. It really isn't. But you've kind of got one Taron t-shirt. You've got one Rake t-shirt. There was a couple for Chiapas, but they would seem to be all female t-shirts. Pin badges, there's no pin badges at all, and I would pay all the money to have pin badges for Chiapas and Taron and Rake, Black Mamba, etc., etc.
They do some more unique stuff as well. Like in the Africa section, you can pick up like little resin animals that are really, really pretty. I've got a couple this time around because they look a bit on the derpy side, which is why I like them. But you can also go home with a complete Chinese like ramen noodle set if you wanted to, because they've got plates, they've got chopsticks, they've got bowls.
It's quite
mugs as well.
It's quite bizarre that they've got so much of that
kitchen
kind
stuff.
of so much of that kind of stuff, but not ride specific. But you'll still come away with something. Mouse au Chocolat has got a really good sort of selection. Just a pin badge on there, and that would be what you get at Alton Towers or any of the Merlin parks. Merchandise, as we said, photos on rides, that would be something that would improve, because you don't get a photo on Black Mamba, Rake, Taron. You don't get one on F.L.Y either, which is, I think, quite amazing considering the fact it's a brand new roller coaster and they've not put a photo on it. And from there, I'd like to see a digital pass added. I don't know if they want to charge 30 euros or something like that, but every digital photo is included on that DigiPass. Or have a system like Paulton's Park where you pay, 25, 30 euros and you get printed photos along with digital codes. Because you do not get any digital codes at all. You have to scan your photos into the computer. That's what I'm going to do when I get home.
And your photos are €5 for every ride that you go on. So when you work it out like that, if there's a group of 4 of you going, potentially you can all pay for one photo each, and it spreads the cost quite evenly.
Some of the rides you're going to need multiple photos, but you can all get in a photo on Chiapas, Colorado Adventure. But Mouse au Chocolat, it only takes a photo of the 2 of you, because there's only 2 per car. So it's one of those things. Other than that, I really don't think that there's anything that they could improve on. The theming in all the areas is great. The rides are all good. I don't think that I've seen Mystery Castle go down once. That's it. I don't think I've seen a single breakdown in the 2 days that we've been here.
No.
The shows are excellent. At least the show that we've seen is excellent.
Park's always cleanly.
And one of the problems that I had last time is the fact that every area's got a dragon. They've got what have we got? They've got Strike and
Croaky,
etc., etc. All the dragons, and we didn't see anything of them last time. And this time
we've seen 4 of them this time round, so we've done well.
It's almost like they heard us and they were just here we go, here's have some dragons, which is nice to see, sort of thing, because it means that it adds more to it. But that's Phantasialand, I think. I don't think there's anything more to add.
No, other than if you obviously know a bit of German when you come here, that's good. But
It's massive improvement if you do. So
yeah, but if you don't, then the vast majority of staff also speak English as a second language. I mean, say Dave's been trying out his German. I'm not so confident in my German, so I've done English all around, and yeah, it's been good. Like we've managed to make it work.
yeah,
So,
I'm not
we've had no
fluent by any
issues.
stretch, but there's certain words that I can work out. But yeah, it really is advantageous if you can speak German, or at the very least, try French. I think that they do prefer it when you speak in some form of continental European language as opposed to English. But everybody's been able to understand us. Sometimes we had issues like when we went to go get the flatbreads. They were talking to us and essentially were saying, "What would you like?" So we can start preparing it. And we were like, we don't know what you mean. And then the lady came, what would you like?
Yeah.
Which was sort of great. But yeah, once again, as I alluded to in the previous vlogs from last year, language barriers are our fault, not their fault.
Exactly, yeah.
So, like I said, that's Phantasialand. Next one of these, we will be at Hyde Park.
Heidi Park.
Over the other side of Germany. First Merlin-owned property that's
Yep.
not on British soil.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, that vlog. There's going to be a lot of comparisons, I feel.
Yeah, looking forward to that one though. Hoping that we're going to basically get Alton Towers but in Germany. So, we'll see on that one. So, for now, that's us.
That's us. Bye.